This is Brain9 YouTube channel, buckle up. Today I'm going to talk about win rates in World of Tanks and what's up with the win rate. If I want to check my win rate, I will go to service record and I will look at this number here, 53.61%. It's quite straightforward like that. Since I am a slow talker, I advise you to increase the playback speed of this video. You can do that on the tooth wheel down here. Exemplary to 1.5. But you might wonder, what is the average win rate for all players? And that's not so straightforward to find out. If you have watched Quickybaby's video about how to improve your win rate and how to become a better player, so to speak, he says a quite interesting quote in that video. I'm taking this from memory, so correct me if I'm wrong, but he says something like 2% of the battles will be a draw, and therefore the average win rate will be 48%. From my thinking, this is actually wrong, because the draw battles will take from, if you wish, both the losses and the wins. So in my thinking, 49% of the battles will be loss, 2% will be draw, and 49% will be wins of all the battles that is fought. But I also think that if you look at the average player in the game right now, it is also wrong with 49%, because there is players coming in, playing for a little while, and they don't like the game, or for some other reason they quit. Maybe they feel they don't do very well, so they quit playing, and these will probably have a lower win rate than 50%. That's why I think that if you look at average players in the queue right now, at any moment, they will have a higher win rate than 49%, maybe even over 50%. But how to find out this, really? How can we find out? Well, there is one way to do it, and that is to actually look at the players that you meet in the random queue. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to play this specific tank here, the M3 Yo. It's the tier 8 Yo tank. And I am going to register the win rate of all the players I meet for 3 matches. And then I'm going to plot all the win rates of all the players into a spreadsheet and look at how they are distributed. The win rates are distributed. My prediction is that these numbers, by the way, I have just plotted in to get the curve. But my prediction is that the curve will look something like this. There are 20 numbers here, so it's like 100 divided by 20 is 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Those are the x-axis in this chart. So I predict that the average 5% at lowest have a win rate of 45%. Somebody told me once that players have tested this. They have started a game and then just let the game run out without doing anything in the random queue. Don't do this. It's both illegal and unethical to do this. But those who have tested it have found that if you start a game and don't do anything, your win rate will average at 41 to 42%. I wouldn't just accept that number, but it sounds reasonable to me. There are 15 players on each side. If one of the players is just sitting back and doing absolutely nothing, not driving anywhere, he's not spotting for the team, he's not doing anything, and eventually if the team gets shot to pieces, but the other 14 players will do as well as they can, right? They will try to win the battle. And that's why I think that 41 to 42% is quite reasonable to assume. So even if you're just driving around, you are actually contributing to the team. And I have never seen a player that I have played against that has a lower win rate than 43%. Well, I actually have to correct myself a bit there. I have seen players with less than 5% win rate, but these were players who actually actively tried to lose. And they did a very good job at it. It was a team of 2 players, and both of them had less than 5% win rate. Don't do that. That's extremely unethical, and you should report that kind of play. So I have made a spreadsheet ready here. I will just jump into the battle right now. 3 battles. I have now played 3 matches with the tier 8 Yo tank, and as you can see, I lost all 3 matches. But I didn't play bad. I had a VTR rating of 8,334, which I consider quite good. If you see by Weekle, I got a VTR of 4,481. There is a reason why I chose to play with the tier 8 Yo tanks, and the reason is because if I look at statistics, you see I've played 40 battles. I have 30% victory rate. When you have a win rate of less than 40, 42, or I would say maybe 44%, it can't be explained by bad play. Because as I said earlier, I buy into the thought that if you don't do anything at all in a tank, if you just sit there and do nothing, you will end up on a win rate of 41 to 42%. So when I have a win rate of 30%, it can't be explained by bad play. And as you see, I haven't played very well with the tank, grinding it from stock, but I haven't played bad in it either. I have an average damage of 1,179, and I have a armor use efficiency of 0.57, which is not really bad, even for a heavy tank. Some probably have better than me, but it has to do with how you play the tank. What I will do now is that I will go to the spreadsheet and plot in the information about win rate, all the players I have met in these 3 matches, and we will see how they will be distributed on the curve. Well, now I have plotted all the win rates of all the players that I've met. Of course, it adds up to 87 other players. And the curve that I got, I have plotted them in, and then I've sorted them, the win rates from the lowest to highest. This is the average win rate that I came to, 49.96. And also, if you see the curve that I got, it has a tiny hook on top there. So there is 2 values of 68.29. This, I assume, is because I must have met the same player 2 times in these 3 matches. There is 5 numbers in the series that is duplicates. I doubt that this is because I have punched the wrong numbers. I think this is because I met the same player 2 times. Anyway, this is what I predicted, and this is the real curve. So I predicted that the lowest 5% would be 45%, but in reality I found that there were players that had lower win rate than 45%. The average of these players, 5 players, I think would be around 44% and not 45%. The curve that I predicted is quite similar to the curve that I plotted in reality. So one of the things that I conclude with when looking at these numbers is that there's very few players who can push the win rate up above, let's say, 45%. And then the curve will go very steeply upwards. This guy, he dominates, right? This is a unicorn player, absolute. Actually, you are better than 50% of players if you can push your win rate above the 50% bar. And you are probably amongst the 20 best if you can get it over 52%. If you get it up to 54%, you are actually starting to close in on the 10% best players. First of all, in this context, I am talking about recent win rate. World of Tanks don't give you this number, which I think is quite odd. I mean, what should be right here? This number, World of Tanks, wargaming, if you're listening, this number should be recent win rate. It should be the win rate for the last 1,000 battles. And then you could have like a small number here that says all over win rate. So you won't find your recent win rate inside the game, but you can find it in external web pages. Exemplary, I'm using a web page which is called Wotlabs. Right now I'm focusing on the win rate, and my win rate for the total is the same here as it is in game. You can see my win rate for the past 24 hours, which is 68.42. This is my win rate the past 7 days, win rate past 30 days, win rate past 60 days. And this is my win rate for the last 1,000 battles. So this number should, in my opinion, be here. Recent win rate is the stat that I really care about. So I will explain what I mean when I say pushing the win rate. If you look at this curve, you see that the vast majority of players are between 47. From there to 52%, you will find, yeah, let's say more than 80, maybe 85% of players. Very few players are under, and a few players are over that you meet in the random queue. That means that a player that is down here on 47, 48%, if they get 10% better, they might push their win rate 0.5%. So if you are down here, you have to play significantly better to see any real change in your win rate, right? To get up here. Of course, by playing better, you will creep up in win rate. But once you get over 54%, 55%, then you are a player that will more often decide whether the team wins or loses. So in this region, becoming better will significantly improve your recent win rate, right? A player with low skill level has more to improve than a player that's very good. So it's hard to become 10% better if you already are very good. So that's what I meant by pushing the win rate. So what is up with this tank? Why does it have a 30% win rate? So what is exactly the chance of winning 30%? As it happens, this is actually quite easy to find out. You can go online and find a calculator for it. And as it happens, I have done that. So what I have here is, it's
binomial probability calculator.
Yeah, that. Everybody knew that that was the name, right? What I will plot in here, I will plot 0.5. We are working with probabilities, and probabilities is a factor. So 0.5. If it was percent, you would have to multiply it by 100, and 0.5 multiplied by 100 is 50%, right? So it's a 50% chance of not winning. That's what I'm calculating. I'm plotting in 40 trials, and how many successes? 28, right? 28 non-wins adds up to 70%. I had a 30% win rate with tier 8 Yo tank, and that's 28 out of 40. And I hit calculate. The number that I'm looking for here is this bottom number. Cumulative probability P of this big X is the real result, and the small x is the odds. It's the odds of hitting 28 or more losses on 40 trials with a 50-50 chance, right? And that's 0.00829, approximately 0.008 multiplied by 100, right? But since it's 50-50, it's also comparable to a coin flip, right? I'm expecting a 50% win rate. And as it happens, I have also here a coin flip calculator. I just fill in the number of flips, which is 40. I want at least 28 heads out of 40, right? That's the number of losses. And you see that the probability is the same as in the binomial as in this one.
Binomial probability calculator.
Right, so it's 0.008295, which adds up to a 0.83% chance. Which means it is the chance of having a win rate on a tank of 30% when you played it 40 times is less than 1% chance, 0.83% chance. So having a tank with a so low win rate happens too often. And actually it happened to me very recently. If you remember the video that I made a week ago or a bit more maybe about the tier 10 Yo tank from my main account. This one, which I have pre-expied and used blueprints to get on my main account. As you see, this also has about 40 matches. It has 44 matches and it has a win rate of 30%. This starts to be quite unbelievable actually. What am I saying? This tank has a win rate of 30%, as I showed you with the calculators, is less than 1% chance if I'm expecting a 50% win rate. I don't have my main account open, but my win rate is approximately 52% on my main account. So it starts to be quite a big coincidence that on this account I get a win rate of 30% after 40 matches with the tier 8 Yo tank, and on my main account I have a 30% win rate with the tier 10 tank in the same tech tree line. One thing that is really important for me to press is that I do not think that wargaming is putting me in a losing streak. That's not what I think. My overall win rate is after all 53.63%, which is quite much. My recent win rate is more than 54%. I do not think that wargaming is kind of harming me specifically, but I don't think that this is always just by coincidence. As you saw, it's very small chance that this is by random. So what's going on? I don't really know. I will put these calculators, the coin flip calculator and the
binomial probability calculator,
in links to these calculators in the description. And that's all I have for now. I hope you like this kind of content. So do you still think the random queue is completely random, or have I convinced you that there is factors that factor in? Again, I want to press the point. I do not think wargaming is harming single players. I don't think they're harming anyone. But I do think there is some kind of mechanisms in the random queue that balance out something. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like it, click the like button. And if you have tanks that end up with a win rate of down to 30%, then please write about it in the commentary section. I would very much like to see if other players also experience these kind of things. But click the like button. Share the video if you think somebody else should watch this. And please comment both if you agree or if you disagree, especially if you disagree. And see you on the battlefield.